Your air conditioner is built to die younger than the one it replaced. Not by accident, not because you did anything wrong, and the man who sold it to you knows it. Your grandfather's unit ran 30 years. The one you bought new will be lucky to see 12. Same house, same summers, same job to do. And somewhere around year 10, a fellow is going to stand in your yard, look at it, and tell you the only fix is a whole new system for $8, $10, $14,000. Tonight, I'm going to show you why yours really won't last and the exact words to say to that man before you ever write a check. 25 years I did this work, pulling the old units out to the truck, bolting the new ones in, then driving back a few years later to fix the new ones. I watched this change happen with my own two hands. So here's the first thing nobody in the business will say to your face. Part of what you remember is a trick. You remember the old unit that lasted because it lasted. The ones that died young got hauled off and forgotten. But only part of it is a trick. Something real did change, and I can show you exactly what. The old units were built heavy. Thick copper, simple parts, more metal than the job strictly needed. That wasn't the company being generous. The men who designed them back then didn't have the computers we have now to shave a part down as thin as it could go. So when they weren't sure how thin was safe, they went thick. And thick is what lasted. Here's the honest number so nobody can say I sold you a scare. A good new unit, put in right and looked after, should give you 15 to 20 years. The 30-year unit is nearly gone. And the 10 to 12-year early death, the one you feel in your gut, is happening more often now. It is. Not to every unit, but to enough of them that you were right to be suspicious. Now, how it was installed and how you keep it up matters more than anything else I'll tell you tonight, and I won't pretend otherwise. A sloppy install can kill a good unit in half the time, but that's a different video. Tonight is about the machine itself, and there are 4 reasons it won't last. 3 of them, nobody chose to hurt you. The 4th one, somebody chose. Quick thing before we get into it. Everything I'm about to walk you through, plus the exact questions that stop a bad replacement quote cold, I put in a plain guide called the HVAC Survival Guide over at raydutton.com. It's there if you want it, no pressure. All right, back to it. Reason 1. The metal got thinner. Every few years the rules changed and said these machines had to cool your house on less electricity. Fine goal. Nobody wants a bigger power bill. But there are only so many ways to pull more cooling out of less power, and the main one was the coil. The coil is that grill of copper tubing where the heat actually moves out of your house. To make it do more on less, they made the tubing thinner. Year after year, thinner, until there's very little copper left between the refrigerant inside and the air outside. And thin copper has a problem they don't mention in the showroom. It rots from the inside out. Every house is full of chemicals in the air. Cleaning spray, fresh paint, a new couch, carpet, all of it giving off a little something. In an old drafty house that just blew outside. Your house today is sealed up tight to save energy, so it has nowhere to go. It rides the air onto your cold indoor coil and settles there, and mixed with the water that's always sitting on that coil, it turns into a weak acid. That acid eats tiny holes straight through the thin copper. You'll never see them. They're smaller than a pin, but they're enough to let your refrigerant leak out slow over a summer until the unit can't cool anymore. A thick old coil could take that for 20 years. A thin new one can spring a leak in 3 to 5. So the industry went to aluminum coils on a lot of units to stop that rot. And I'll be fair, it does stop it. But the thin aluminum brings its own trouble. It cracks from all the heating and cooling, and most of the time it can't be fixed out in the field. A copper tube, a good tech can cut the bad spot and patch it. That aluminum coil springs a leak, there's no patch. You buy a whole new coil, sometimes a whole new unit. And here's the money on that. A new coil put in might run you $1,200 to $1,500. But he is not going to quote you the coil. He is going to quote you the whole system, because a leak on a 10-year-old unit is the cleanest excuse there is to sell you all of it at once. Now, some folks in the trade will tell you I've got the copper part wrong, that the thin walls aren't really the trouble. That's their story. I've cut open coils from the 80s and coils from last year and set them side by side on my bench. I know what my own eyes tell me. You take it for what it's worth. Here's what to do with it. When a tech tells you your coil is leaking, before you agree to one single thing, ask him 2 questions. Is it still under the parts warranty? And can this exact coil be repaired or only replaced? A leaking coil that's still under warranty is a very different conversation than the one he wants to have, and most people never think to ask. Reason 2. The brains got fragile. Your grandfather's air conditioner was dumb, and I mean that as a compliment. It ran on a few simple parts. A contactor, which is just a heavy switch, a capacitor, which gives the motor its push, a plain motor. That's about it. Every one of those sits on a shelf at any parts house in the country, costs a few dollars, and any decent tech swaps one in 20 minutes. Your new unit is a computer. To hit those same power rules, they filled it with circuit boards, a fancy motor that changes its own speed, and controls that talk back and forth between inside and outside. And yes, all that electronics saves power and runs quieter. But every board is a brand new way for the thing to die that the old units never had. That board fries from a power surge or a lightning strike down the block, or, I've seen it with my own eyes, a lizard that crawls inside and bridges 2 wires. Your grandfather's contactor didn't care about a lizard. There was no computer in there to fry. But the fried board isn't even the real problem. Here's the real problem, and this is the one that ought to make you angry. That board is built for one model from one maker, and no other part will fit it. It's sealed up so a tech can't just swap the little piece that actually failed. He has to buy the whole board. And when the maker decides to stop making that board, and they do, then a good machine, one where the metal is fine and the motor still spins, is finished. Not because it broke, because its brain can't be bought anymore. That right there is the whole difference between a repair and a replacement, and your wallet feels it. That simple old capacitor is $15, and it's on the truck. The fancy computer motor and its board, if it's even still made, is $800, $1,000, and it shows up 2 weeks out while you're sitting in the heat waiting on a part from 3 states away. So here's what to do. Before you ever buy a unit, ask the salesman a plain question. Are the board and the motor proprietary, and how many years will you stock the parts for this model? And if a board fails down the road, make the tech show you it's really the board and not the cheap part sitting right in front of it. If this is already changing how you'd answer that salesman, do me a favor and subscribe. I take one of these machines apart every week. Reason 3. The gas keeps changing. The stuff that actually does the cooling, the refrigerant, they keep outlawing it. One kind gets phased out, a new kind comes in, and every time they switch, a whole generation of equipment gets left behind. The gas your unit was built for gets scarce, then it gets expensive, and one summer, a simple leak repair costs more than it ever should because the gas to refill it is 3 times the price it used to be. It happened with the old gas, it's happening again with the one that replaced it. Here's what to do with that. Know which gas your unit runs on, And remember this, when a tech tells you your refrigerant is being phased out, that is a reason he will use to push you toward a new system. It is not proof your unit is done. An old gas costs more to buy. It does not mean the machine is dead. Which brings me to reason 4, and this is the one nobody was forced into. This one is a choice. When that coil leaks or that board dies at year 11, the repair bill lands within a few $100s of a full replacement. Think about why. The labor is expensive. The parts are proprietary, so only the maker sets the price. The gas is dear now. Add it up, and fixing your unit costs nearly what replacing it costs. So of course the man says, just replace it. And here's the quiet part. A new system is a far bigger payday for his company than a repair ever was. A repair is one afternoon and a small ticket. A change-out is a truck, a crew, and a 5-figure invoice. Same broken part, 2 roads. Down one, he makes a few $100s and drives to the next house. Down the other, he makes $10,000 and books your whole weekend. You already know which road he was trained to point you down. And don't forget the warranty, because they are counting on you too. That 10-year parts warranty they bragged about runs out right about the time the trouble starts. And even while it's good, read it close. It covers the part. It does not cover the labor to put the part in. So you can get a free coil handed to you and still pay $3,000 to have it installed. So look at what we've got. The metal got thin chasing the power rules. The electronics got fragile chasing the same rules. The gas keeps getting outlawed. Those 3 you can almost forgive because physics and the rule book forced them. But that last one, the repair costing as much as the replacement, the push to junk a unit that isn't dead, that one somebody chose. So here is what you actually do when the man is standing in your kitchen with a quote. He says it's 11 years old, not worth fixing. Here's the price for a new one. You don't argue and you don't panic. You say 4 things. 1. Show me exactly what failed and show me the reading that proves it. Not a guess, not a shake of the head. The actual dead part and the number off his meter. A real diagnosis has a number behind it. 2. Before we talk about a whole new system, quote me the repair on that one part by itself in writing. Then you take that paper and get 2 more companies to look. Never let one man race his own repair against his own replacement. That is a race he set up to win. 3. And write this one down. Age is not a diagnosis. A 12-year-old unit that needs a capacitor is a cheap afternoon, not a teardown. Old does not mean dead. Make him prove the unit is finished, not just old. 4. Know when he's actually right, because sometimes he is. A dead compressor and a leaking coil and an old outlawed gas all on a unit past 15 years, that is a fair time to replace it, and I'll tell you that straight. Replacing isn't always the scam. Getting talked into it when you didn't need to, that's the scam. One last thing, and then I'll let you go. You'll find people online telling you these units die because the companies hid a secret chip inside to kill them on purpose. Don't fall for that one either. The truth is duller and a lot more useful. It's the thin metal, the fragile electronics, and the money math that makes replacing easier than fixing. That's the whole story. No secret chip. And the money math is the part you can push back on with the 4 questions I just gave you. Do me one favor before you go. Down in the comments, tell me 2 things. How old was the unit somebody told you to replace, and what number did they quote you? I read every one, and those numbers help the next person standing in their kitchen getting the same speech. I'm Ray Dutton. Keep your cool, and I'll see you in the next one.